Hey, this is Angie for Happy Healthy Vegan, and I'm back in my office for a long overdue vlog. So I guess I don't really need to tell you guys that there's been a lot going on out there in the world and in social media, and a few weeks back I had been about to make a vlog when the news came out about George Floyd being killed by the police officer and everything that ensued, and I just felt like the time wasn't right for this content, so I stepped down from YouTube, and I really stepped down on Instagram as well, and a lot has gone on in Long Beach, and it's been really crazy all the way around, but I've been trying to slowly get back into things, and so I've got all this footage that I shot from mid-May, and photos too that I have started posting onto Instagram recently that were also actually from that same time period. So I thought it might be fun to combine both of those things to make a behind the scenes of my Instagram food photos. And what I've got is a video that's gonna make you extremely hungry. I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna get so hungry. So you better just stop the video right now and go get some food and come back, because otherwise you're gonna have some serious regrets. So I've heard that a lot of you guys have been missing my positive content, and so I'm gonna start this off on a really cheery note with what was probably the highlight of 2020 this year, 2020. But there was one good thing, and that was cherry season. Cherries, oh my gosh, Ryan's favorite fruit, and it's one of my top 5 for sure. Cherries, peaches are my faves, mangoes, well, you're gonna see all of them in this vlog. So if you are following me over at Instagram, Instagram.com/happyhealthyvegan, then you've probably noticed that I haven't been posting a lot of pictures from the Marina Farmers Market. But when cherry season came up, there was no way that we were not going to mask up and get out of the car and actually go and talk to our farmers. So it was well worth it, because our friends at Mount Moriah Farms brought some amazing varieties of cherries. Now, sadly, Mount Moriah told us that the crops were not as good this year because of this wacky weather pattern that we had. So there were less cherries than usual, and the season was shortened. But while we could, we went really hard, and we bought a lot of Brooks cherries from these guys, like a crazy amount. And of course, the kitties were really excited to smell their familiar produce from Marina Farmers Market, and we're happy to pose for pictures. Now, not only did we get cherries from Mount Moriah, but we also got a fruit called aprium, which is a hybrid of an apricot and a plum. So these have the flesh that's more or less the same as an apricot, but then the skin is a little bit more like a plum. So it's still got that sweet, chewy apricot thing, but then a little bit of the tartness of a plum. While I thought they were interesting to eat by themselves, really what I wanted to do was make some fruit burritos with them. My fruit burritos it's a really simple recipe. I shared it with you guys years ago when we used to eat a ton of them in like 2013, 2014. It's basically like a giant fruit roll that's made with apricots and bananas, and now I've been putting flaxseed in there. And then after they're dried, I put fresh fruit in there and then roll them up. Now I've got to have mangoes in there. Did you guys hear that? This is some of the stuff that's been driving me crazy lately. They've been blowing up M80s for 2 months in my neighborhood. It's really worn me down. Anyways, I'm gonna try to continue with this. How did I forget blueberries? So the first week we went back to the farmer's market, I'm so nervous they're gonna blow something up again. The first week we went back to farmer's market, not only were we able to get cherries from Mount Moriah, but we were able to get a ton of blueberries from Gonzaga Farms. They're really so good, you guys.
What do we got here, Joe? We got some farmer's market cherries and blueberries and some bon maman from the Amazon man.
Gosh, now all these car alarms are going off out there. All right, a few skyrockets going off now too. Anyways, I'm gonna do what I can here. So yeah, anyways, bon maman, delicious, not sponsored, just want to get that out there. Speaking of not sponsored, Imperfect Produce. So even though we were going back to farmers market to get a lot of delicious fresh fruit, I have actually been sticking with my weekly Imperfect Produce boxes because I find a lot of the prices are pretty competitive, and I'm using them not only to get fresh produce, but also to get some other things too. They've got some great deals on bread and legumes and grains and nuts and little vegan snacky things, dried fruits and stuff. And I have to admit that I get really excited every time I get an email from them that I've earned another $10 credit. So thanks again. And I guess if you guys are interested, I'll put the code down below. It seems like every time I go to click the code thing, it's like a different number. Like it was like Angie 14, then 15, 16. So I don't know. If you've experienced any problems using my code, also let me know in the comments down below, because I'm still trying to understand how it works. I mentioned earlier peaches as being one of my favorite fruits. And so Imperfect Produce was actually where I got my first peaches of the year. They sent a few white peaches and some yellow peaches, and I immediately turned them into one of my super famous, I would say, peach pies. This is a recipe that's actually in Keep It Carb Baby, and it's the one that I see you guys post the most on Instagram, which is really awesome. I'm so glad that you guys are trying it. It's a freezer pie, and in the summer you do not want to be turning the oven on like at all. And this is just a really simple, wholesome recipe comprised of oats, nuts, dates, vanilla and cinnamon for the crust, and then just peaches for the inside. I mean, it really doesn't get any simpler than that. Very easy to make. And I love having it for breakfast. You guys, it's a totally guilt-free, delicious, tasty treat for breakfast. I don't remember when it was, but sometime last month I actually rode my bike over to Lord Windsor's, one of my favorite coffee houses here, to pick up some of their locally roasted coffee beans. So I made up some cold brew, and it was just so delightful. Now my second favorite breakfast treat is my oatmeal cookies, which I make in the dehydrator. And I've shown them on some vlogs and stuff, but I'm gonna include like the ultimate recipe in my next cookbook for sure. But anyways, this batch that I made was extra special because I took some dried cherries that I'd got from Imperfect Produce, and I substituted those for raisins, and then I included some vegan chocolate chips, and oh my lord, they were so delicious. Now while we're on the topic of breakfast and Imperfect Produce, actually, come to think of it, I got an extra firm tofu from them. So you guys may not know this, but before Happy Healthy Vegan was born, I used to do a vegan recipe blog called Angie's Goodies. And it doesn't exist anymore, but you can find it on the Internet Archive Wayback Machine. I had done a tofu scramble recipe on there. I had to change it a little bit because we don't eat onions and garlic anymore, and I don't cook with oil. But it was really easy to just make it with water sauteed vegetables. And I substituted out, instead of Spike seasoning, I used, Mushroom and Company all-purpose umami seasoning. You can get it at Trader Joe's, or you can buy it online. I put that, and instead of plain turmeric, there's this like turmeric twist seasoning from Frontier. I've used the two together, but you could probably do either or and get really good results. But anyway, so I made that, and I actually, on this time, I had a lot of squash from Imperfect Produce, so I put some thin sliced zucchini in there as well. And then I served it with baby blue potatoes, which Ryan actually made in our Instant Pot. And I served it with some toast, which was actually the Angelic Bakery bread, also from Imperfect Produce. So as you can see, I'm like fully hooked into the Imperfect Produce lifestyle at this point. Anyways, Ryan and I enjoyed it so much that I now think of it as my like Saturday like brunch treat, and it's fun to eat out on the porch. Oh, and come to think of it, the first time I made the scramble, I did something a little different I'd never done before. Ryan and I have gotten a lot better, I would say, at making beans from scratch in the Instant Pot. And I had just finished up a batch of pinto beans, so I threw a few of those into the scramble just for fun, and it was actually really good, and I guess it gave me more protein. So it's kind of cute that Ryan really likes to be like in charge of making foods that are made in our pressure cooker and in our air fryer. But, you know, that's totally fine with me. I love having the extra help. But he's gotten really, really good at making oil-free tortilla chips in the Bagat air fryer that we got last year. And so sometimes we come together and collaborate on a little snack. Like when a lot of our avocados go ripe all at one time, I'll make us up a big batch of guacamole while he makes the chips. And getting back to those pinto beans, actually, sometimes I'll blend those up with some spices and some nutritional yeast to make like a bean dip. So in this particular video, I happen to have some leftover salsa from Vegan by Victoria's, and so I poured that right on top of the bean dip. Oh my God, it was so good, you guys. Okay, so now I'm gonna share a behind the scenes of a photo that I actually posted on the Bodhi and Jojo Instagram account, but it ties into everything else, as you'll soon see. So our friends at Carmenette sent us some more cashews, and the kitties were extremely interested.
You figured out that I had a package here? You want to pose with it? It's our friends from Carmenette. Is that exciting?
Wow, look. Bodhi's all first. Jojo, you got scooped.
We love Carmenette.
Look at that.
I fit, therefore I sit. Oh yeah. Does that feel good, Bobo? It's just the right size. So nice.
Now, I left the room for a little while, and when I came back, I saw that both of them were crammed into this small box. Bodhi was barely even in the box because half of his body was really on the open flap of the box. These guys are so funny and so cute, and they love being together so much. I'm so happy that when we adopted Bodhi from the Animal Companion Center, that we also brought along his litter mate, because I just can't imagine either of them without the other one. So I was really stoked to try using some of the Carmenette's raw jumbo cashews for my kale chips. Woo! So I will admit that it's a bit of a process to make kale chips, but they're really outrageously expensive to buy, which is pretty much the entire reason why I bought my dehydrator back in 2011. Back then I was super addicted to this local brand called Elevated Edibles that were $7 for a 2-ounce bag, so I decided that I should learn how to make kale chips myself. I basically just read the ingredients that were on the back of their little packages and started experimenting with making up my own recipes, and eventually came to what I kind of think of as like the quintessential nacho cheese recipe. Now, the crazy thing is that it turned out that Elevated Edibles were actually my neighbors. They lived one block over, and once I found that out, we started hanging out and talking about food all the time. And, you know, I learned a lot from them, and they learned from me as well. He said that my kale chips were actually better than theirs because of the fact that I could get away with dehydrating mine for less time than they did, because they needed theirs to be like super duper dry for shelf stability. So anyways, I'm definitely going to put my recipe for kale chips in my next cookbook so that hopefully you guys can get to experience the joy of making kale chips at home and being able to do so in a way which is a little bit more affordable so you can have them on the reg. One of the other things I made with the jumbo raw cashews was mac and cheese. Now, as you can imagine, I have made vegan mac and cheese a number of ways over the years, but last year I came up with a new recipe that I was really excited about. And when I shared it with our friend Tracy the Vegan, aka Tracy the Moderator, she and her husband fell in love with the recipe to the point that her husband Will makes the cheese sauce regularly and apparently puts it on everything, uses it as a dip, puts on all kinds of vegetables and all kinds of stuff. So that's how I knew that this was the recipe that I'm definitely going to put in my cookbook. So I don't know about you, but I love peas in my mac and cheese. And I also like to sprinkle a little bit of paprika on the top. Maybe smoked paprika, maybe sweet. What do you guys like? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious. So are you hungry yet? I bet you are. But get ready, because this next scene is going to blow your mind. So the final behind the scenes footage that I've got for you guys is from a Man Eating Plants curbside pickup pop-up that happened a couple weeks ago. Our friends from Man Eating Plants, Candace and Phil, moved to Long Beach not too long ago. And they were actually the last pop-up that we attended before the quarantines happened. So we were really excited when they announced that they were going to be ramping back up again and offering food for pickup. We are about to pick up an order from Man Eating Plants. I'm so excited. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my god, I'm so excited about the congee. It's been way too long.
This will be like the fanciest meal we've had in like the whole time.
I know, so awesome.
Man eating like the crab cake in like a toaster or like an air fryer.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Hope you guys are well.
Thank you.
Bye. So I fell in love with their congee when I tried it in January at the OC Vegan Night Market. Congee is just a traditional simple rice porridge, but the way that they serve it, they've got all these incredible little toppings that I could not possibly reproduce on my own. So don't worry guys, all these little containers are eco-friendly and compostable. Man Eating Plant are like really caring individuals that always go the extra mile.
Excuse me, buddy. Hey, no.
So not only did we get the congee, we also got one of their mind-blowing Singapore chili crab cakes made with fresh lion's mane's mushrooms that they buy locally from the farmer's market when they can get them. It's really insane how accurately these mimic the look and feel of a crab cake. I mean, just look at it. They don't always have them, so if you see them available, definitely grab one.
Bodhi just really wanted to pose with our kids. Hey, Bodhi. How come you're so professional? How'd you get so professional?
As instructed, I reheated the crab cake in our air fryer and served it with their amazing sauce and the fresh arugula and dill that they provided. I've got to say, enjoying this meal out on the porch with Ryan, it really felt like we were dining at a fancy restaurant. So there you go. That is some of the delicious vegan food that I have shared over at Instagram.com/happyhealthyvegan. If you're not following me already, please do so. I'm going to continue to share amazing vegan food with you guys. I'm going to continue to work on my cookbook. I'm sorry I don't have a due date. I'm a one-person operation over here, creating the recipes and the photographs and the layouts and all of that stuff. And I almost forgot. Karma Nuts actually gave me a promo code to share with you guys, so you get 15% off any of their 11 different flavors. Just use 15 HHV when you check out at karmanuts.com. I'll have the link for you down below. I'll try to put links to any of the other stuff that I mentioned in this vlog as well. Let me know what of these things you would most like to try. Let me know which of the recipes you're most excited to get. And yeah, I guess that's it. So until next time, keep it carb, baby. Keep it carb and keep it vegan.
I know, I should have brought this today. So I got a gift from Roots Like a Tree. They brought me a BTS bag and BTS figurines. Aren't they so sweet? They're so funny. There's Cherry Coo. Cherries. Cherries, guys. Oh my goodness.